Hey everyone, let's jump right into it. Today, we are breaking down federal air quality regulations for new industrial facilities. Now, if you have ever stared at a massive environmental regulatory document and just felt completely paralyzed by the thousands of pages and endless subclauses, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to totally decode this rulebook. We'll strip away all that dense legal jargon to give you a really clear, actionable playbook on exactly what it takes to build and operate a compliant facility today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let's zoom out and ask a much bigger question. What exactly does a newly built factory owe its surrounding community? It is incredibly easy to get lost in the paperwork, but at its very core, environmental compliance is really just about corporate responsibility. It's the promise that a plant can create jobs and manufacture goods without wrecking the air that the local community breathes. Keeping that promise requires some pretty strict rules, and that is exactly what these federal standards are designed to do.
To make this massive regulatory index actually digestible, we've broken it down into 5 clear stages. 1. The clean air baseline. 2. Who must follow these rules. 3. Core compliance requirements. 4. Tracking and proving compliance. And 5. The costs of non-compliance. Let's get to it.
First up, Section 1, the clean air baseline. Think of this as the building code for the environment.
Think about it like this. Just like a brand new skyscraper has to meet modern standards for electrical wiring and fire safety to protect the people inside, a new industrial plant has to meet modern standards for pollution control to protect the environment outside. You obviously wouldn't build a 2024 high-rise using fire codes from 1950, right? Well, similarly, you can't build a new factory using outdated environmental practices. To really grasp the scope of this, we have to define a crucial legal concept, which is the stationary source. Basically, we are talking about fixed real estate here. Things like power plants, petroleum refineries, large manufacturing facilities, municipal waste incinerators. It's a building or an installation that is rooted to the ground and pushes exhaust out of a smokestack or a vent. This specific set of rules does not apply to mobile sources, so no delivery trucks or cargo ships. If it's bolted to the ground and emits air pollution, it is a stationary source.
Moving right along to Section 2, who must follow these rules? Let's identify the target audience.
The government actually targets specific facilities based on when they were built and what kind of work they do. There's a really clear dividing line here. On one side, you have grandfathered facilities. These are your older plants, built decades ago. For the most part, they get to operate under the older, slightly less stringent rules that were around when they were first built. But on the flip side, you have new or modified facilities. If you break ground on a brand new site today, or, and this is a big one, if you take that older grandfathered plant and make a major physical or operational upgrade that bumps up its emissions, boom, you instantly trigger the modern, strict federal emission standards. You are now legally on the hook for state-of-the-art environmental safeguards. And the federal rulebook is definitely not one size fits all. It's actually broken down into hundreds of super specific subcategories. Whether you're a petroleum refinery dealing with sulfur oxides, a landfill managing trapped gases, a glass manufacturer capturing fine particulate dust, or even a massive printing press trying to handle fumes from inks and solvents, there is a custom-tailored rulebook for your exact industry. The government knows exactly what your specific factory is outputting, and they have a targeted limit for it.
All right, Section 3, core compliance requirements, or simply, what you actually have to do.
So here is the universal checklist if you're a new facility. First, you've got to buy and install the approved emission control technology. We're talking massive industrial scrubbers and filters. Second, you have to strictly adhere to numerical limits on the chemicals you're releasing. Third, you must follow highly specific operational practices, especially during startup and shutdown, because that's when systems are way more vulnerable to releasing excess pollution. Fourth, you can't just promise the government that the equipment works. You have to run rigorous initial performance tests to scientifically prove it. And lastly, ensuring compliance is a distinctly human effort. You have to make sure all your facility operators are properly trained and certified. You could literally have the best hardware on Earth, but if the humans running it aren't trained up, you are not compliant.
Which brings us to Section 4, tracking and proving compliance. Trust, but verify. Let's look at the daily life cycle of compliance. Step 1 is continuous monitoring. Facilities are required to install sophisticated hardware sensors right inside their smokestacks to track emissions around the clock, 24/7. Step 2 is record keeping. All of that raw sensor data, plus logs of what the operators are doing and any maintenance, has to be meticulously organized and stored. And step 3 is routine reporting. You don't just hoard this data, you package it up and submit scheduled reports, usually every 6 months, directly to the regulatory agencies. This makes sure that the data flows smoothly from a sensor in your exhaust pipe all the way to an auditor's desk.
The absolute most crucial takeaway here is that environmental safety is not just a box you check once during a fancy ribbon-cutting ceremony. It's an active, continuous, daily standard. It demands ongoing vigilance from literally everyone in the facility.
Finally, we hit Section 5, the cost of non-compliance. What happens if you miss the mark? We have to talk about enforcement, because the stakes here are incredibly high, and I want to highlight a reality that catches a lot of new operators completely off guard. Regulatory enforcement is very swift, and failing to report a violation is often treated just as severely as the actual emission violation itself. If a filter breaks and you release too much pollutant, yeah, that's a problem. But if you try to sweep it under the rug, or your record keeping is just sloppy and you fail to report that malfunction, you have just severely compounded your legal jeopardy. In the eyes of the law, a paperwork cover-up will trigger a massive legal headache just as fast as a chemical spill. No joke.
Let's look at how fast this cascades in real time. Imagine hour 1. A mechanical glitch causes an emissions limit to be breached. Your continuous monitoring system immediately logs that technical failure. Within 24 hours, facility managers have to initiate immediate corrective action to fix it and precisely document what happened. Within 30 days, a formal, highly detailed deviation report has to be sent to the governing agency. And ongoing from there, the agency will review the whole event. Depending on how bad it was and whether you actually followed the reporting rules, they could hit you with massive financial fines, force expensive equipment retrofits, or even mandate an operational shutdown. It's a rapid chain reaction where a simple mechanical glitch turns into a major legal liability almost overnight.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from the baseline rules to the harsh realities of enforcement. But I want to leave you with this final thought. Is your facility built not just to produce, but to protect the community it operates within? When you strip away all that dense regulatory language, compliance is fundamentally a core responsibility. It's a promise to your neighbors that your pursuit of industry is not going to come at the cost of their health. Embrace these standards not as some annoying bureaucratic hurdle, but as the actual blueprint for running a responsible, modern business. Thanks for hanging out with me to decode all of this. Keep learning, stay compliant, and take care.
If you found this helpful or want to stay updated when this regulation changes, subscribe and support the channel. And if you need the full technical details on this CFR, click the link in the description below. See you next time.